Thank you for joining us for this week's special edition of the Lantern Weekly Webcast. I'm Matt Edwards. It's Beat Michigan week here on Ohio State's campus, and from the Mirror Lake jump to Coach Luke Fickell's thoughts on the game, we've got it covered in this week's webcast. But we begin at the Ohio Union, where on Monday night the Beat Michigan pep rally took place.
Basically, we just had to pick the venue and choose all the different acts that we wanted to come to the event. It's an annual event, so we typically estimate 1,500 to 2,000 people, and we try to make it different every year. And this year we really tried to make it interactive. Students are really happy. There are a lot of giveaways going out and a lot of free food, so from the reactions I've gotten, it's been really good.
Joining the fans at the pep rally were the Ohio State cheerleaders and members of the band. Players also attended and interacted with the fans, and the fans began an MVP chant when punter Ben Buchanan was introduced. Whether it be a prize or free food, everyone in attendance seemed to come away with something.
It was great. I got a pillow pet that I had to stretch up there for it, but you know, I got one, so it was pretty cool. Go Bucks, beat Michigan, and beat them the next year and the next year and the next year after that, because we aren't losing to these guys. It's been 2,920 days since we lost to these guys. We're getting over 3,000 after this weekend.
And while he did not make a personal appearance, President Gordon Gee made sure his scarlet and gray pride was felt. Reporting for the Lantern, I'm Sarah Steeman.
Thank you, Sarah. As has become tradition every Tuesday night before the big game, students brave the cold and this year possibly even the lightning to jump into Mirror Lake. The Lantern's Katie Harriman was at the scene.
Thanks, Matt. I'm standing here in front of Mirror Lake where students are jumping for tradition. Every year before the Michigan game, thousands of Ohio State students, many of them intoxicated, take a leap into this lake in hopes that their team spirit will lead to a win over the Wolverines.
The Mirror Lake jump is important because it's tradition, and tradition must live on, and I'm glad to do it. It's the warmest I've ever been in my life. The Buckeye spirit is so warm right now. It is blazing off of this icy water, and I'm excited to be here. I'm ready to jump again. Go Bucks!
Mirror Lake Jump started in 1990 and is not a university-sponsored event. Vice President for Student Life, Javon Adams-Gaston, sent an email to students on Friday telling them, don't jump. But if you are going to jump, she says to travel in a group, beware of hypothermia, and know that alcohol intake increases your risk of injury.
Usually it's a pretty celebratory type of environment. Everybody's happy. You know, there's usually very minor problems. Everybody usually is out having a good time.
Reporting for the Lantern, I'm Katie Harriman.
Thank you, Katie. Speculation running rampant that this Saturday in Ann Arbor could be Luke Fickell's last game as head coach of the Buckeyes. After losing to Penn State on Saturday, Coach Fickell and his tight end Jake Stoneburner addressed this weekend's matchup against Michigan.
From here on out, it's a one-game season, and Michigan has always been that way. Never change. It's the greatest rivalry in all sports. And we want to make sure those guys understand that. You know, they obviously all down and feel bad. The key is how do you get back up? How do you step up and realize and understand that you know, this is something that you'll remember forever?
You know, obviously we're disappointed, very disappointed. We wanted to send the seniors out with a win, but like Coach Fickell only lets us have 17 hours to really dwell on a win or a loss, and so once that's up, we got to focus all of our energy on Michigan.
While the battle on the field this Saturday will get most of the attention, the battle at the blood trailers has been going on both campuses for weeks. The Lantern's Michael Perriott and Brittany Schock provide us with a look at the 20th annual blood battle between Ohio State and Michigan.
It's the 30th year of Blood Battle. It originated because we have such a rivalry between OSU and Michigan. It's just another way for us to compete against Michigan, try to beat them off the field, because obviously not every student can compete with them on the field. So what we're trying to do is help the local blood supply and foster friendly competition between the two universities.
The blood goes to all kinds of people for different things. The biggest driving force behind why I give blood is about 3 years ago my mom suffered an accident and fractured her back, and she had to have 3 bags of blood given to her over the course of the night afterwards. And
I realized that I was the same blood type as her, and you know, they were talking about the need for blood and how they really only have 2 to 3 weeks at a time sometimes, and it really made me realize that there's people out there like my mom who really could be helped from this, because if she wouldn't have had those bags of blood, she wouldn't have made it through that night. So that's why I try to donate 2 to 3 times a year.
Well, the need for blood is always, more people need to donate blood. I've received blood before. Blood is, especially the red blood cell, is the factor that keeps the blood functioning properly. Anytime anybody loses blood, they need a red blood cell. Platelets and plasma are important for those people who are sick and have diseases of one kind or another, so it's a definite need. Can't live without it.
I mean, it doesn't feel too bad. The first needle hurts a bit, but other than that, your hand gets a little cold and it's not so bad.
2 weeks ago when we went into the freezer, we had 11 pints of A negative on the shelf. The minimum that we try to keep is 250.
Hoping today to make a difference for 2 things, both beat Michigan and give blood to help out.
We can beat Michigan. I don't know why we lose every year to them in a blood battle when we clearly beat them in football, and we have more students, so this should be really easy to do. So I just kind of came out to support that cause as well.
I actually enjoy doing this. Makes me feel like a good person.
Thank you, Michael and Brittany. That does it for this week's edition of the Lantern Weekly Webcast. For all your Ohio State-Michigan coverage, be sure to stay tuned to The Lantern and thelantern.com. For our producer, Ian Cheek, and all of the Lantern staff, I'm Matt Edwards. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the game.